joining us now with more Freedom Caucus Chairman Andy Biggs. He's supporting an amendment to remove Congresswoman Omar from her committee assignments. Also joining us, the author of the new book, They Never Let a Crisis Go to Waste, Fox News contributor Jason Chaffetz, author of the bestseller Firebrand, Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz, who earlier today, offered to resign his place in Congress to help the president fight impeachment if indeed needed. The people of Pensacola in the Panhandle need Matt Gaetz. I'm not loving this. The president has good lawyers than David Schoen. All right, let me first go. This, to me, Andy Biggs, is simple. It's up to the voters in Omar's district and Ocasio-Cortez's district and Green's district. They should decide these things. Apparently, they knew a lot about all of these candidates prior to the election. Why isn't the same treatment? Why doesn't that go to the conspiracy theorists, the people that have nutty views on the left?
Well, you're exactly right, Sean. All of this was in the wash. It was baked in the vote. So if you're going to take Marjorie Taylor Greene off her committee, then you need to be looking at all the conspiracy theorists, all the hard left rhetoric that's come out, all the violent rhetoric that's come out. How about sleeping with the enemy and being on intel? How about spreading false hoaxes and rumors? All of that should basically foreclose those people if that's the standard. But this is a historic thing because they want the whole body to come in. Well, they know they control it, to start removing Republicans. And I'll tell you, Marjorie Taylor Greene, if this happens, will just be the start. They will go after a couple other people, then it'll be somebody else, and it will always move the goalposts because they don't want opposition, loud, strong people. And don't forget, Marjorie Taylor's a strong conservative voice for women, and they don't want that either.
All right, Matt Gaetz, let's get your take on all of this. I trust the people in your district that if they want to elect you, they know they're getting a firebrand. End of sentence. They get to decide. People get to decide on Maxine Waters and Nancy Pelosi and Ocasio-Cortez. You know, how is this double standard? The whole impeachment lie conspiracy. Adam Schiff's, his constituents get to vote for that pathological liar.
That's right. Marjorie Greene said some crazy conspiracy things before she was elected to Congress. Adam Schiff, Eric Swalwell, Jerry Nadler, and most of the Democrats said crazy conspiracy theory things when they were in Congress, impeaching President Trump and attempting to delegitimize his time in office as a consequence of the Russia hoax. Marjorie Taylor Greene got 75% of the vote. That's more than the vote percentage of almost. That's more than almost every member of Congress. So it is a dangerous precedent when we disrespect the voters, and that's really what the left is trying to do. They're saying the people of America don't matter. It's the decision-making process inside the Beltway. So tonight, the Republicans decided to keep Liz Cheney. Tomorrow, the Democrats will boot Marjorie Taylor Greene from her committees. I think both decisions reinforce the power of Washington, and it only encourages me to try to go out in America and get people focused on the changes we need to make in both parties so that the voters are respected.
I laid out the Hannity conservative agenda. That's what I focus on. Limited government, more freedom, low taxes, less bureaucracy, controlled borders. I went through the whole thing. Congressman Chaffetz, let's bring you in on all this. It's the same double standard, though, with how we define insurrection language, right? Because Donald Trump said, many of you will peacefully, patriotically march to the Capitol so your voices will be heard. Well, Chuck Schumer was threatening 2 Supreme Court justices. Joe Biden threatened the president. Kamala Harris was bailing out rioters and saying they shouldn't stop doing what they're doing. And Maxine Waters said she wants to take the president out and kill him tonight. I'm going to take him out tonight. Isn't that a direct threat? Sounds like it to me.
Yeah, it was a direct threat. And the Democrats conveniently forget about C Hastings. C Hastings was appointed by President Carter to be a federal judge. Guess what? He was brought before the House of Representatives. He was impeached, and then he was convicted in the United States Senate. But you know what? The people in Florida decided to send it back to Congress. The guy was convicted of bribery, and the Democrats put him on the Rules Committee of all things. And yet you've got somebody who said something that I totally disagree with before an election. But you know who gets to make that decision? The good people of Georgia, not the opposing party, not the Democrats, and not somebody from Utah or Arizona or anywhere else. The people of Georgia. That's where the respect needs to lie.
I think that's true. All right, Andy Biggs, where does this go tomorrow? And more importantly, you know, at what point do we start applying the same standard? All I'm asking for is equal application of the standards, equal application of the laws, due process under the law. We don't seem to have any of that in this country today.
That's right. Tomorrow, if it goes like I think it's going to go, the Democrats have the votes. They'll probably remove Marjorie Taylor Greene. That's why I co-sponsored that amendment where we substitute Ilhan Omar for Marjorie Taylor Greene, because we're trying to get one for one. If you're going to take out one of ours, we're going to take out one of yours. But we're still in the minority. But we've got to get the majority back in order to be able to apply this. But I tell you what, we have to keep talking about this because it is so disparate. This treatment here and what Nancy Pelosi's done to try to arrogate power to the center, that is a huge problem. Yeah. And this is just one more step in that.
Matt, what's going to happen tomorrow?
Tomorrow, they are going to take the unprecedented action of substituting the will of Washington for the will of people in this country. And when we get the majority back, we better apply the same standards. So often I see the Democrats actually fight to win, and Republicans are playing some patty cake game. I certainly hope that's not the case, that we point out the hypocrisy and the double standard, because it is eating away at our voters and the country.
And Jason, you've said it publicly, you've told me privately. It's one of the reasons that, you got fed up with Congress.
I did. Republicans, when they get into power, they try to be Democratic light. They go easy. They don't play offense. Now, what the Democrats are doing is beyond offense. This is just offensive, and it is a dangerous, dangerous precedent. But Republicans have got to remember that when they have the power and they have the votes, that's when you have to make their move and stop being Democratic light, for goodness sake. Make the case, win the argument on the floor. That's why Matt Gaetz and Biggs and others, Jim Jordan, are so valuable. We got to win the communications war.
All right, guys. Thank you all. Appreciate it.